Hello and welcome. This is me, Ahmad Khan. Um and this lecture, I'm going to give you just introduction of the course that I'm launching on my YouTube channel. Um the course is on SQL injection. What is in SQL injection? How we can find SQL injection vulnerabilities and different type of websites. This lecture is just the introduction lecture, in which I will I will give you the idea of some SQL queries, and I will introduce you what I mean by SQL injection. So, what is SQL injection? Before diving into this, let me tell you what is mean by SQL and why SQL injection. SQL is just a structured query language. Like we have mini language, we have programming language, we have markup language. Some of the case we have a database language that is used to manage, update, modify, and create database. And that particular language is called SQL, structured query language. It's clear from the name, structured query language, in which we are using queries, different type of queries. Like if I want to update the record and database, um, there will be a special query for that particular task, and for modification for delete as well there will be any particular query for such type of task. So this is just SQL. So why SQL injection? Basically this vulnerability is very common, that is occur in many web applications, many web databases, many websites, and also it's easy to discover. We will see later on in the course how we can discover SQL injection vulnerabilities. First, we will try to explore SQL injection at beginning level. Then we will dive to intermediate, and then we will dive to advanced level how we can find SQL injections, and we will see how we can bypass web application firewalls. This vulnerability is easy to exploit once it found, and this vulnerability has great impact on databases. The reason is that the first impact is confidentiality. What I mean by confidentiality, uh, like there will be phone numbers in that particular database, there will be emails, there will be password maybe sometime, and personal address maybe. So such type of information is confidential. So the first impact is confidentiality, because once the attacker gain access to that particular database, attacker will be able to retrieve email, password, phone numbers, personal information, etc., etc. Second impact is integrity. Like attacker will be able to change data, will be able to change other setting, and sometimes will be able to privilege their escalation. Their attacker will be able to escalate their privileges. I mean, and are to gain root access to that particular database. The last impact is availability, such as like attacker will be able to offline services, even attacker will be able to destroy services. So that's just a simple introduction of SQL injection. We will see different type of SQL injection attack later on in this course. So right now, it's a time to understand um, SQL injection, how it's gonna work. SQL injection. Um, Before talking on a tracker, let's assume that um, this is just a normal person, and this person is looking for like for cars. uh, Obviously, let's suppose this person is interested in Mercedes, so this person will visit any particular website and will search for Mercedes cars. So this person will generate a request. The request will be sent it uh, to the web server. This request contain a query. The query is Mercedes cars. This person is interested in Mercedes cars. So the server will pass the query, I mean the request which has query about Mercedes cars, to database. Database will look if I have Mercedes cars. What I will do, I will respond to the server back. So if yes, if this database has Mercedes car, database will respond to a web server with the query answer, and same web server will forward this response back to the normal person, and resultantly the person will be able to see all the cars or the Mercedes model that is available on that particular website. In case of attacker, so attacker is interested to retrieve those information from the database which is not authorized. I mean the credential information like phone numbers, as I said before, as I discussed before. So what attacker will does, attacker will generate a malicious query. Before diving into this, maybe there will have some firewalls, web, that can block malicious request. So the attacker will generate a malicious query request with a crafted, and it will pass to a web server, then to database. So the database will forward response to the web server to the attacker. The attacker, resultly, the attacker will be able to see all the information. Attacker will be retrieve all the information. Sorry. Let me give you one example. In my case, I have Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. There are a lot of websites, and some website has form. So in case of form, how the malicious query will works, how the normal query will be. Let's suppose we have a website. If I will type facebook.com, so you can see here we have a login form. It means that Facebook has a database, Facebook taking username and password, and Facebook storing this password in username in a particular database. So in this case, if I will put my valid username and password, I will be able to log in into my account. How it's possible? Let's look into this query. In fact, this query is this, like select all from user where username, let's suppose I filled my username is, let's suppose, amathon@gmail.com. This is, let's assume that this is my username, and my password is, let's suppose, 12345. So if I will click on login, if this username and password will valid, Facebook will log in my account. Otherwise, it will not log in. In fact, how the query is working, let me understand you. The query, the story behind this form, this process is select all from username, user where username equal to amathon@gmail.com and password equal to 12345. So this is how this query works. Select statement is used to select from user where there will be a table where username equal to and a password equal to 1234. If this user exists in the database and the password is valid, I will be able to access my account. Otherwise, it will not work. The query will fail. Now, this query tells to a database to check all the rows that exist in the user table and return every record where the username column has the value amathon@gmail.com and the password column has the value which is basically 123. If user detail are returned to the application, the login attempt is successful and the application create an authentication session for this particular user. In this case, I am the user for this. And situation like how attacker will craft this query, malicious query. As I said before, attacker will craft this malicious the query, and attacker will bypass the logic mechanism of database in order to retrieve those information which is not available to an attacker, which is confidential. So in this situation, in case of an attacker can inject into either the username or the password field to modify the query performed by the application and thereby subvert its logic. For example, if the attacker knows the username of the application administrator, I'm not talking about normal user, I'm talking about administrator. So obviously Facebook has a database and Facebook has administration account. Let's suppose the username of the application administration is admin. So attacker can log in as that user by supplying any password in the following username like admin minus minus. So by supplying this username, I'm talking about this, by supplying this username, it caused the query where we described earlier to become like select all from user where username equal to admin minus minus and password equal to, it will be any random password like random pass. So the command sequence, this is command sequence. The command sequence caused the remaining query after it to be ignored, and as a result the query that the database execute end as select all from user where username equal to admin minus minus, which is basically command sequence, and like this is the password check is bypassed. So this is how it's gonna work. Now let's understand some SQL queries. Let's see how we can create a database. We can use create like database and the database. In my case, database name will be employee. So I will execute the query. You can see here commands completed successfully. So if I will refresh it and if I will explore this, if I will click on databases, we can see I have created employee database. Let's how we can use this database, how we can interact with this database in order to insert tables and columns and data. So I can type use employee. That's it. What I can do right now, I can create a table for this. So I will put create table and the table name will be employee underscore data. And I will insert data, I will insert columns into this table. So how I can do this? An employee data, what I will have employee name, I will have employee ID, phone number, salary. So I will create employee. The first column will be employee underscore ID. Sorry for the spelling mistake. Employee ID. So what will be the data type? I mean the data type, what type of data is that? This is ID should be obviously integer and ID should be unique. So I will put integer. As we know ID is unique, so we will keep this primary key. Primary key is a key which is used by a database to identify entities uniquely, attribute uniquely I mean. So primary key, that's it. Now the second column will be employee name. and the data type will be varchar, and I will specify the size 50, and it will be not null. So second one will be employee salary. I will have in this database employee salary. This will be decimal case, decimal, and the size will be 50 to 10 or 50 to 2, and it will be not null. And the third one will be employee phone number, employee phone, and this will be integer. I can keep var as well, varchar as well. Now if I will execute this, you can see here we got one error in this specify column person. I have error in this. I think line number 1, use employee. Yes, that's it. Now it's working. So if I will refresh the page, if I will explore this databases employee, and if I will click on table, you can see here I got the table employee data. So if I will explore this, if I will click on column, I can see we got all these column, and you can see this is the primary key which is used for uniquely identification. You can see here the key. Now how I can insert data into this tables? What I can do? I can do insert into the table name will be employee employee data. Okay, so values will be, this will be the column name, column number, and this will be the ID I mean, and the second thing is employee name, in case this will be John, and the salary will be like 10,000. Phone number will be like 1 2 3 4 5. That's it. It's okay. What I'm going to do is, so I have completed the query. I'm sorry, I was confused and this error, but you have to ignore this error. So right now you can see here I will get I have select ID1, and the name will be stored in this column, the salary will be stored in this column, and the phone number will be stored in this column. So let's execute this query. That's done, but it's already exist. I have already executed this. So let me insert another record. So true, this will be the ID name, and I'm going to keep the name Eric. This is the second name, and the salary will be like 2,000. Phone number will be 54321. So if I will execute it, you can see here, sorry, I forgot the comma. I will execute it. You can see here one row affected. It means that I have successfully inserted second row. So let's insert third row. This will be XYZ, and salary will be 5,000. Phone number will be 00. So let me execute it. You can see it's done. So right now the data is successfully inserted into my database. Right now how I can retrieve the data? I can use select statement, select all, this is whitecode, select all from dbo dot employee underscore data. Let me execute it. And as you can see here, I got the result. You can see this is the employee name, salary, phone number, which I have inserted before that. You can see everything you can see. So we will play with all these queries and future and are to find out vulnerabilities, etc. Now, if I just want to filter the employee name, I can use another query, select employee name, employee underscore name from the from the column table employee underscore data. If I will execute the query, you can see here I just got the name of the employees. So I have lots of queries. I can execute lots of queries. This is just I just given the demonstration how SQL queries works. And the next lecture we will talk about SQL injections query. Thank you very much. If you are interested in my videos, you can share with your friends.